Hello everyone, in today's video I want to show you a quick trick as far as how to use decoys more effectively. Now one of the things you need to know about decoys, and again I got my little squad here sneaking up on this radar, is the fact that decoys will try to stay at the altitude that you fire them. Now think about that for half a second here. That would mean if I'm trying to engage a target that's on the ground, such as a SAM, if my decoy is launched at an altitude higher than the SAMs can shoot, it'll never bother with it. Likewise, if you have a active jamming decoy, like my lovely ADM-160 here, that also means that it's not really going to be doing much jamming for us, except at the altitude that you launch it at. So that creates an interesting problem for us. So what I would like to do, of course, is I'd like to go ahead and engage this target down here on the ground. And you can see it's just hanging out. I'm going to flip on the radar for a second here, and let's see if I get a better view. And of course, there's got to be a SAM site, and it's got to be a nasty one that's going to do all sorts of damage to us if we're not careful. So it's the SAM is the one I want to hit, and it's a mobile, which makes it small, but it doesn't mean it's any less lethal. I want to put that thing out of commission, so let's do it. So I'm going to grab myself my decoy launcher here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to launch myself one decoy. And now this decoy is going to be just a little bit in front, so where we're going to go ahead and launch our attack vector. I'm actually going to take these two and drop them down to loiter speed. Now what I don't get here is the loiter speed is like 250. Are you kidding me? Loiter speed ain't 250. Loiter speed could be a lot slower than that if it had to be. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now drop him down to a different altitude, and I'm going to fire a second decoy. So go ahead and slow down a little bit here. Got to come down. That's about 30,000 feet. And that's about 25. We'll call that close enough. I'll control F1. I'll go ahead and pop another one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come down to our next altitude. Usually I try to do it a little bit lower. That's going to be about 20,000 feet. And that will be for my next decoy right there. Go ahead and fire. Come down a little bit lower here. That's about 16,000. That'll be my next decoy right here. Go ahead and pop another one of those. And we'll come down to about 12,000 feet. Actually, we want to keep coming down here. Keep coming down, my friend. All right, there's my next one. I'll go ahead and pop another one. And again, all I'm doing here is creating a vertical ladder of decoys. All right, let's come a little bit lower. 9,000 feet, that looks pretty good for my next one. Let's go ahead and pop this one. Remember, these are active jamming decoys also. And that's about a little bit lower. There we go, right there. And this is going to be my minimum altitude decoy. Actually, I could probably go a little bit lower than that. More. All right, there we go. 2,000 feet. That's getting pretty low for the current weather conditions. Look at that. I'm actually too low. We'll have to make that above ground level so that it can get high enough to actually fire that last one. Come on up. And we'll order him back up to 12 grand, I guess. Go ahead. There he goes. Go ahead and fire that last one for me, please. He's done. All right, you can go home. Okay, excellent. So what we've done here is we have now launched a ladder. And if I pull my screen to the side, I'm tipping to the right, by the way. I don't know why. You'll notice that I am now doing a vertical line of jamming. Because remember, jamming is line of sight. That means now that I've created my little ladder of doom here, anything that is trying to shoot through this ladder of doom has jamming support. And likewise, our HQ is going to be awfully busy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my Growler. I'm going to order him to go ahead and fire up his sensors here. We're going to do some offensive ECM. And that's just going to make this a more effective attack for our strike here. And the other thing I'm going to do too is I'm going to drop these both down to kind of moderate altitude here, about 20,000 feet. So they are in the thick of it. And by thick of it, I'm referring to the fact that basically the nicest part of the ladder, if you want to kind of think about it. I'm going to call this the ladder jam. It's just kind of fun. So we've got a lot of electronic warfare going on here, but this is going to be fun. So I'm going to grab my F-18 here. I'm going to press the Shift-1 key. And, of course, we're a little out of range here. What I like to do is fire a couple of them. Targets, I don't know enough of it, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and queue up 2 of those because no doubt he's going to try to take a pot shot at one of these. All right, come down a little bit there. That's about 20,000 feet. Now I'm a very tempting target. Go ahead and launch our last 2 here. One of the things I like to do is to take a pot shot at the other thing, and when the missile leaves the rail, he'll turn his radar on, and then it becomes a free shot. Cheap shot, cheap shot. So as you can see here, basically our F-18 is now loading his little rack here, and of course our E-18 is doing a lovely job. Look at this. Do you see how our missiles, you can see very clearly now in 3D, are flying through the nasty jamming? And unfortunately, this makes it much more interesting for our guy on the ground to be able to basically identify the target now up through all this nastiness that is now raining down on him. It's not going to say that he's going to get a shot off, but geometrically speaking, you can see just how hard of a shot this is going to be. So let's go ahead and watch the fireworks. And would you look at that? Not a single SAM was ever fired because that jamming was so complete in its ladder shape that it basically prevented any of that firework from getting through. Now, I am not satisfied. As you can see very, very clearly here, we've disabled the radar basically of this thing. And of course, we're still being nice and irritating with our jammers. Unfortunately, our Argums did not do the deed here, which is unfortunate, but that's going to happen sometimes. So we have a couple choices. We can certainly sneak up on this thing and try to get a chape shot on it with a cannon. Cannon fire is fun. By the way, look at this. Look at this in 3D. This is just scattered. Or we can do the lazy thing, which is what I'm going to do. Because why would you ever do a mission like this with a single airplane? Let's be honest here. And let's get some in-flight rearming. We can't do this in the real world yet. Nice. Reload. All right, let's finish the job. I just hate the idea of a job that's just not done completely, you know? All right, there we go. Go ahead and fire that second shot. There it goes. And you can see it's locked right onto his radar. And bam! And bam! As you can see, our little ladder technique with our spread out jammers at multiple altitude, plus all this other good stuff, gave us this really, really amazing electrical edge, which made it so much simpler and safer to take the shot. And again, at any time, I could have come down with the cannon and basically buzzed it, but it's not as much fun. Enjoy.